For time and the world do not stand still. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. I said, are certain to miss the future.
Coño, I missed that.
Prime Minister Castro, this missile crisis was the last straw. We almost blew ourselves up. Now, we invited you here today...
In good faith.
In good faith. To sort this thing out.
And why is he here? He lost.
As I always say, forgive your enemies, but remember their names. Now, gentlemen, as I like to think, in the long history of the world, that there are only a few generations.
Sounds like someone breaking in.
It's just a storm, Dick. Sit down.
Oh my God!
It appears the Pentagon has been breached.
Zombies. Gentlemen, at times like these, our capacity to retaliate must be, and has to be massive, to deter all forms of aggression. Gentlemen, lock and load.
Viva la revolución!
Any last words, Mr. President?
Yes, Jack. Any superlative words of inspiration for our humble troops?
Do not pray for easy lives, my friends. Pray to be stronger men.
This whole nobody's there. There we go. Alright.
Oh, fuck. There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a PBN podcast. The first one that we've had since when?
3 months.
3 months. It's been 3 months since the last one. So today we've got a very special program with you. We've got a number of beautiful guests here. Really quite sexy men. There's me. Hi. We've got Vice President Lucas.
What's up, boys? It's been too long since we've done this.
It has. We've got, I think he's a senator now, Senator Antonio.
Yeah!
Right. We got Little Watt.
What's up?
And we've got a special
The
guest
one,
for
the
you all.
only.
We've got somebody who hasn't been here for a very long time. We have the one, the only, Salamontane.
Hands up! Don't shoot the black people! Black lives matter!
And okay, this is why he got thrown off the air the first time.
Yes.
It sounds like someone's breaking in.
All right.
Yeah, so welcome.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about quite a few things today. We've got a special thing to talk about right at the end. But I mean, we're going to be talking, as you can see from the name, the Republicans have had quite a revival this last month, and that's the first thing we're going to be talking about here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Lucas, you're part of this revival.
Yeah. Oh, hit my hand. Yeah. So, yeah, we've won we won. I would say landslide in the presidential. I mean, there's like over 25 votes. Same thing with the speakership.
Majority.
And Senate majority. So it's kind of like the situation that Democrats were in May, where they had, and that was the peak of the Democrats. So I hope this isn't the peak of the Republicans of the Democrats. They held the presidency in Bow, which, let's be real, the socialists held the presidency in Bow. Then they, Plur had the speakership, and then they had a Democratic Senate majority. So, and that was the time when only the Republicans and Democrats are big players. Now the big players are Republicans, Libertarians, and Socialists. So it was, and those were obviously the Libertarians didn't run a candidate in the speakership, but those were the candidates in the presidency and most of the Senate districts. So it's kind of weird to see the Democrats kind of out of the loop. I'm hoping for the sake of the server, we talk about server stability and server like equality all the time of, different parties having equal representation and all that. I hope the Democrats are able to like pick their shit up and move on. But they, especially under like the numbers that showed up for the speakership and the numbers that showed up for the presidency, it's not looking too hot for them. But the Republicans are definitely.
From what I think we've figured out is we've got the numbers. We have regular numbers as well. Mm-hmm. It's just they see us as a lot of our own party see us running more as spoiler than anything else, so they'll vote for the people who are more likely to win. So like we think that quite a few Democrats voted for Art because they didn't see or think that Lunarian would win, as a counterbalance which ended up just splitting the votes further. But yeah, I mean, either way, Lee took that by a good margin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I may step in here, if Republicans won, that means that this server is full of racist, homophobic, bigoted pigs who are filled with toxic masculinity and rage that they're not gay.
Well, we knew that already. That's like the whole server.
Oh, also, you're not black because you voted Republican.
I am black and Mexican, and I am proud.
So I want to give the floor to Aiden or Antonio because obviously this is like the first election Aiden has won in VC. I think, I'm pretty sure. So Aiden, how does it feel to be a senator?
Well, you're actually wrong because this is my third election because I actually did win the Libertarian Governor D4 primary, and then I did win the governor election.
I won a governor election as well.
What?
Right. So Aiden, what does it feel like to be a senator, Aiden? Or
sorry about that, boys. All right. So no, but it's great feeling, and Cage and Johnson did a great job. Sad to see my good friend Johnson leave. I still haven't got. I did actually reach out to Cage and say good job, but I don't think I've gotten a response back. I don't know. Maybe he hates me. That's actually really funny. But
I didn't know that Johnson had left.
No, he said he got tired of VC and it was too much for him.
There's nothing more iconic than Johnson's Monty speech.
Yeah. But no, I'm definitely excited to work with my great fellow senators and be a fucking legend, man. Like the more experience I get, the more experience I'm gonna have when I run for president in December.
President Aiden, December.
Or maybe I'll run in January. It'll be my 1 year anniversary.
It'll be my 1 year as well.
So,
shut up, Cole.
Shut up.
And then what we have Watt, and then we have Watt, who's the House Majority Leader. We designated that to him. So, Watt, what do you think of Republicans winning or sweeping everywhere?
Oh, I thought it was really impressive that Ian got a majority of the candidates. And then Lee was really close to that as well. I think the socialist, because I could see the results, the socialists must have gotten a few more votes throughout the night. Because Lee was up by over 50%, still at 1 in the morning, and then when I saw the results, it was around 48. So, but yeah, it was really impressive, especially since he was kind of a last-minute candidate. So I guess that shows that campaigning for speaker does not work. But
All right. So obviously, we're talking about that. I guess there are a lot of things we have to catch up on over these past. Like, we're not going to go in depth in the last 3 months or even past there. But we'll obviously flash back through all this because we haven't had. But basically, I want to talk about like the future of this month because obviously it's very rare occurrence where not just the Republicans, but it's only happened a couple times. I think only once or twice before in VC where an entire party has. I think only once before where an entire party has a majority in the Senate, speakership, and the presidency.
I think
so
the Dems have done it once or twice.
Yeah, the Dems did it once in May.
Yeah.
And then I think after that, it hasn't happened since the Senate started existing in late March.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, in my opinion, in the Ian administration, I could talk a little bit about that. So we went for like a more moderate and bipartisan cabinet because we have all 9 of our cabinet members come from, we do have, a majority from the Republican Party, but most of them, I think most all of them are moderates. I think with the exception of probably I would delegate to Krishna, who is, a little a little fascist, but we all rip on our favorite fash.
Favorite fash.
And
my
favorite
husband
fash.
to be.
And then we delegated 2 socialists and Democrat in Hull, and I think 2 libertarians because Dillinger's not in libertarians anymore. But I honestly think we went for more of a cabinet that would please like everyone, because I think it did, because it's a really center kind of moderate cabinet, and also something that would get our platform through. And I trust all the secretaries that we selected to do that.
Do you?
So
I don't think you do.
I'm hoping that we're able to do that in the future of this month. But we're I think an active presidency, because Ian's very active. I think he'll do well there. Same thing with Lee in the speakership. So I'm hoping that not only can we get some good things done, but we don't have to hold up Congress to do that, because if Congress was split, we could see a lot of obstruction from both sides. So it just happened to fall in our favor that both chambers of Congress are under Republican control. Yeah.
So you'll actually take advantage of that.
I've seen
what Watkins. Again, I would probably designate our platform, not really our platform is kind of, I would say moderate, more center. So we'll maybe not take advantage of we're not going to take advantage of everything, but to get our bills through and to get our secretaries through now, because we've seen some trouble, I think, with 2 nominees, both from the Republican Party, that are getting some trouble from the socialists, especially. But we're just trying to get our platform through because we won on that. So hopefully we can get that through easily. But I wouldn't say we're not gonna take advantage of the minority. That's not our plan. That's not what we should really do, even though we have all 3 chambers and the executive under our wing. But because we go
honestly,
back to
you never want to take advantage of minorities. It's a pretty shitty thing to do, and that's honestly how slavery started in the United States.
Yeah.
And Lucas is laughing because he's a racist.
No, I'm not a racist.
He's a racist. He's a racist Republican.
I mean, I've heard a lot of criticism in different places, some from Democrats, some from socialists, about. I think what I've mainly heard is that they disagree with I think they see it as the nomination hearings being rushed.
Right.
What you are a member of the administration.
Yeah.
What would you say about that? What would be
so rushed? I could I could see their argument. Then again, cabinet hearings have always been 1 hour, unless requested longer. We have 31 days to 31 32 days to really do what we want to do. Now, am I saying that it's not in Little Rush? Sure, because obviously 5 in 1 day is a little much, but I still think that the 5 we did are well qualified candidates for the positions that we've given to them, and to get the because then again, once they're in the cabinet, they're gonna do things that obviously our platform wrote on and all that we need them as quick as possible in. And I personally think that all of them are well qualified, and all of them most of them had very good, especially I would say Wayne and Carton both had really good cabinet hearings today, and I think that's indicative of what we kind of stand for in our administration.
Hold on.
I think
didn't Carton defend that movie that's like basically
okay. One thing, no, I do not defend the
Yeah, but your nominee did.
Okay, I don't. Okay, the administration does not defend the movie Cuties. Okay, that is no. Okay, I can speak on behalf of Ian. I can on behalf of myself in saying that the Halpern administration does not. The Cuties movie is fucked. Okay, no, we don't
What
want
movie
that.
is this? I haven't heard of it.
In the Halpern administration,
So I'll
I
actually
think
fill you in on this, Mr. Former President Senato.
Yeah.
So it's about a bunch of 11-year-olds joining a twerk team.
Yeah.
Oh, that one.
And
right.
I'm not saying anything, but I'm coming from a place of non-discrimination. All right. All I'm gonna say is that every socialist I've met is a pedophile.
Oh,
right.
So,
Okay.
Again, coming from a place of non-discrimination, that is what I've seen.
So in your eyes, every single socialist is somebody who likes children.
I'm not saying
I vote
if it's here or there,
right.
But I don't know, man. Being a socialist does kind of have negative connotations that is linked with pedophilia.
I mean, in the UK, I vote, and I vote Labour, which is a socialist party. Are you saying that I'm a pedophile?
Yes,
yes. Oh, right,
I'm not saying that, but I do have screenshots of something that you've sent to me when I was under the age of 18.
Well, wait, aren't you 20?
I am asserting my Fifth Amendment right.
Your Fifth Amendment right.
Anyway, all right. So, does anyone else have comments on the future of this month, or we can just start going back?
All I have to say is if we can get Campbell as an alt on the server, just look out for me, man.
Right.
Just look out for me.
Okay.
The return of Speaker Moonman every day.
The return of the king. Certified fat batch coming back.
Slay back.
Slay back. All right, Hull, go ahead.
Well, I'm looking for it. So, I get term limited soon. I get term limited on the chairmanship of my party. I get term limited on the 28th. So I'm looking forward to, between that now and that time, carrying out a load of reforms, and I think the Dem Party will start to come back a bit more over the next month or so, and I think that's good. Over this term, we will start to see a resurrection of the Democratic Party, which I know some people might not like, but I think it's quite a good thing.
Okay, socialist.
Okay. Then, what else am I looking forward to? Oh, I'm looking forward to serving in the administration. I've got some court cases I'm going to be bringing as well, as a private citizen, which I'm looking forward to fighting. I'm basically looking forward to be Mr. Active Hull again after a month or two of not
I'm
being
excited
around.
for that because Active Hull is best Hull, obviously. But yeah, I'm sure you're excited for when obviously over this next 2 days, you're probably gonna have your hearing for Sec of Energy, and then you obviously reached out.
Nude Hole is the best hole, but
you obviously reached out about court cases and stuff, and those I know you've had an interest in that for months. So, I'm excited. I'm excited for you to have that opportunity back, and I'm just excited for everyone overall, because it honestly, I mean, maybe it's like the weather changed, everything's starting to go like fall and all that, but it's starting to feel like it's April again, which is exciting. 'Cause April was a good time. But yeah, that's all I have to say on this month or what's going to happen in future.
1984 is back, baby.
Yeah.
Halpert is basically Ronald Reagan.
Well,
he hates the blacks. He's gonna make America great. He does a line of cocaine.
No, Ian doesn't do cocaine. Ian only smokes weed with me in the West Wing. That's all he did.
Notice how he didn't deny about the black people.
No, he's not racist either. He's Asian.
So,
he can't be Asian.
Racist president.
Asian.
Racist president.
Asian people are super racist.
Yeah, go to Japan. You'll get made fun for being white or American.
Well, he's
Japanese people can't even see what race I am. So.
Right. Oh, we do love
all right,
Monty.
so let's now that we have some other topics here. So let's talk. So we've obviously missed 3 months of podcasts. Actually, over 3 months of podcasts. So let's go back to this past administration in Ricka and Cade in the month of August. So obviously we had a breakthrough of the first socialist president of VC, of America.
It's because I was inactive, that's why.
That's why the Republicans won.
As soon as I went inactive, we got a socialist.
Time. They saw the socialist regime under Joseph Stalin Jr. and fucking JFK, AFK.
Joseph Stalin Jr. and
the
JFK,
Republicans
AFK.
Won. They're back. They're back, bitches. They're ready to fuck shit up. They're gonna fuck you. They're gonna fuck your mom. They're gonna order the Travis Scott meal 10 times over your dead body. They're gonna rule with an iron fist. They're gonna try and enforce a Gestapo in the United States.
No, we're not gonna try to enforce a Gestapo in the United States.
It's gonna work.
The socialists are gonna take your guns. They're gonna fuck shit up, man. I mean, Halpert is basically Donald Trump Jr.
No, Ian is not Donald Trump Jr. Okay.
No, he's Eric Trump.
No.
He's the ugly son.
Anyway, Ricka.
Mitt Romney.
If they're a socialist,
Ricka president.
If we're okay, I'm gonna be direct and fucking honest here. I don't give a fuck if they're socialists listening or if socialists are gonna listen in the future. They need to fucking. Ricka's presidency was the worst fucking presidency.
Oh yeah, and if you have an S in your name, you're gonna be burned at the stake, just like in 1960 with the Cold War.
What?
We're gonna kill all the commies and we're gonna send them back to Russia.
Anyway, no, I'm not saying that Ricka is Stalin. His policies, especially foreign policies and obviously economic policies, fucking ANCOM. Like, what the fuck did we do? Like, voting in ANCOM in the office. But his foreign policy was so terrible. It gave benefits to socialist countries, which socialist countries are just authoritarian left regimes. That's basically what it is. Like Maduro, that whole fucking situation with that. His economic policies. All that weren't able to get through, thankfully. And then I hate to beat the dead horse on this one, but going out the way he did, saying that he got killed by Nazi sympathizers while stepping off Air Force One, come on, man. Really?
I mean, he was. I was there, and I was the one that did it.
I mean,
so,
I find that kind of insensitive because
I am here to confirm that I am a Nazi sympathizer.
No, the Nazis literally genocided people, and he's saying he's worth this. He's like, oh yeah, look, the Nazis killed. Like, that's not
right.
Socialists have a weird infatuation with Nazis. I'll say that they are very obsessed with them.
The socialists basically think, they basically think anything to the right of like -2 on the economic scale, and anything above like -3 on the economic scale, like in that corner, is like Nazi. Like even
they think it's fascism.
If you're like center right, like if you're center right, you're a Nazi, right? Like
Jess said that
Antifa is actually fascist.
I would argue that
That's
fascism really. I mean, it depends.
Right.
Using fascism to solve fascism.
Fascism is inherently traditionalist. I'll say that.
And then after that, we had Cade's administration, which was okay. You know, it was pretty good for what he had and all that. But you know, it's nothing special. He was a decent, I would say, pretty good president. He had a really good vice president, and you know,
he was very boring.
It was kind of
no scandals or anything.
Yeah,
plain Jane.
Sounds like my term.
Yeah, nobody really listened to anything he said.
Even my term had scandals.
I'm not a fan of the death penalty. Him getting rid of it.
Yeah.
I like Cade, but that fucker tried to get rid of the death penalty like 7 times, and we let him get in office.
And how else are you going to take care of? You know, I'm not going to say the word, but how else do you take care of those type of people?
Oh,
which type of people?
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
The communists.
The communists.
Moving on.
Okay.
And communists.
No, I love black people.
Kill pedophiles.
I actually have the N-word pass.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you do.
Sure. Yeah.
So we squared away Ricka's administration. We kind of want to get through this quick. We'll go to Aiden's favorite topic in the Leia administration.
Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna give the floor to Aiden on this one. He can say what he like about the Leia administration.
Right.
So go ahead, Aiden.
Now, okay. With all due respect to Leia, right? I'm not shitting her. I'm not shitting on her as a person. She's all right. All right. She's got. I think I don't dislike. I don't hate her and all that. But that presidency was bad. Okay. Battle was the only good thing about that entire administration. Let me get that clear.
And Barry.
Right? And Barry, sure. Okay, but that presidency piece, I'm pretty sure they literally got nothing done if you like fucking climate shit. Okay? And I mean a monkey could do that, all right? And then she called terrorist acts honorable, which is really like funny, honestly. I mean, to be honest, like she's called like the IRA, the Irish whatever it's called.
The Republican Army, the terrorist organization.
Yep, she like has basically been shown idolizing them and liking what they do. So I mean, maybe she's into terrorists.
Innocent civilians.
Yeah, but it's all in the name of communism. So I'm just kidding. They're not
my comments on the Leia administration. I mean, I was majority leader at the time, and I opposed them a lot. Basically, there were a couple good things come out of that administration was its foreign policy, which I would argue wasn't even Leia's doing. It was mainly Barry and who's the Secretary of State? I forget. I forget who the Secretary of State was. I'm sorry if I forgot your name, but it's like, you know, you had the whole Toronto Accords. That was good. You know, Battle did. Oh, right. I'm sorry, Fleur. I forgot.
I did some of that as well. One of the
Toronto Accords. And then
you see, the vice president can't even remember the Secretary of Defense. Okay, this is why you need.
I remember the Secretary of Defense.
This is why you need. Listen, this is why you need me back. I will be a president of the people. Okay, for the people and by the people. All right. President Moon Man will be back and better than ever, and he will rise again, and he will serve the most amount of terms any president has in this server. Okay, folks?
Yeah. Anyway, and then Battle had some good secretarial orders and all that. Mark did some good things as HHS sec as well. But the president herself, I would argue, was carried on those good graces and those good the good things the secretaries and the vice president did. But I will give her the credit of picking those people to do those things because they did their jobs well. But other than that, it was kind of like her whole presidency was marred in controversy over things she did in Meta and things she did in other servers like Aiden. Moving on from that, I think we have one more presidency to talk about before we could just go into general things, which was Wilson and James. Well, I had two technically, Wilson and James, which was kind of boring. Wilson's was really boring. It's so long ago that I don't even remember what even happened in it.
He didn't do very much in his term.
He didn't do really anything. He tried doing things.
Weren't you his second state hole?
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Well, and then James, that's really it. But other than that, we've cleared up the last 2 months and the future. And we've done that in 40 minutes. So, what else do we have? What else do we have to talk about?
Well, I mean,
we could we'll just open this up, I guess, because we've gone over.
Yeah, we can talk about anything. We've got some big news that we'll leave at the very end. But anybody got anything they want to throw out?
Well, I'd kind of just like to say that, just to sum up my opinion on the Leia presidency. All right, look, it's like, well, I'll actually give my opinions on all of them. Okay, on all the presidencies that we listed, which is 4 of them. Cade, and I'm putting him into food because I'm fat. So Cade is how do I say this? It's slightly seasoned steak, and it's cooked kind of just right, but it doesn't taste like it. It doesn't taste.
Cade is a soggy salami sandwich that you have in your cooler on the way back from the beach. At 7 hours old.
And then you have Rika, and Rika's you come back from a 1 month long vacation in Albania, right? You come back to your South Carolina home and in the heat, and you open the door, and little do you know that your meatball sub has been overrun by bugs, and it smells like ass, and it is the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. And you bite into it, and you literally die.
And you find out that your dog took a shit on the floor while you were gone. And then you eat that. Because you're trying to get the awful taste out of your mouth. And then that's Rika.
And then the Leia presidency is how do I say this? Say you're getting a...
Load job. Oh, no. What?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Go to HL for that.
Let's not talk about that.
So,
go to HL.
Is
didn't say a thing.
It's definitely eating a slightly undercooked burger, a little bit before rare.
Yeah, and then you get salmonella.
And then
are we talking a Travis Scott burger or what?
No, a burger from Longhorn Steakhouse.
What's a Travi patty?
Who gets
Travis Scott burger?
And they have this, and then also what else to do is that they put lemons on it, and they put this weird sauce on it, and then they also forgot the cheese, and then for some reason
turns out the sauce is very special sauce. If you know what I mean.
It's the sauce that James gives to me every night.
There's shrimp toppings all over. But the burger itself, I guess you could say it's eatable.
Lucas, why are you a commie?
I am,
ladies and gentlemen, this is your future president. Can't even pronounce words.
What are words?
Okay.
Aiden, and then you had
the best words, very
Aiden,
big
what's
words.
the food for the James presidency?
What?
James presidency.
Oh, okay. And then James' presidency is like, okay.
Complete disaster.
So say you're ordering like some like mac and cheese from a super fancy restaurant. You don't get a lot of that mac and cheese, but when you eat, you're not gonna get it. You're kind of small bowl.
The mac and cheese
Getting,
is like an orgasm in your mouth.
Shut up. Hang on, Sid. So you're getting the mac and
Sid.
cheese, and it's really good, but there's not a lot of it. And you also have the fries to the side. They're steak fries, and they're well seasoned, and that's what Jacob is, right?
Well seasoned.
So Jacob is the fries, and James is the mac and cheese. And there's not a lot of mac and cheese there, but the mac and cheese tastes really good. It's not a lot of it, but it was really good when you had it. Yeah. And you also had the really good steak fries that came with buffalo sauce, Travis Scott meal style. And then so with the Wilson,
and then you thought about it later that night, and you got a little excited, and
you're like, well, what if I had
you're like
2 bowls of that mac and cheese?
Right? And then we didn't get it. Instead,
and then
we got
the burger,
the undercooked burger.
And then you make basically mac and cheese, but without the macaroni, and it's white cheese.
So, and then you have the Wilson president, and like,
mozzarella.
What did you? With that, it's like, it's just it definitely feels like you get served like 2 potatoes, right? Turns out, when you eat the potato, right, and it's bland. There's nothing really to it. Not a lot of seasoning. Comes with some butter, and to the side you
but not enough.
And and it comes to the side with a really nice salad, right? It's got something to back it up. It's got something to make it memorable. Talking about James. So, but then halfway through eating your 2 potatoes, your waitress comes and takes your other potato and says, "I'll take care of that for you," and then walks it away, and you never see the other potato again. So now you're left with a really good salad and half of your meal, which is already bland, right? So I mean, that's just what I think.
I'm loving this. This is brilliant.
That was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it really is. This is something. This really is something.
All right, so all right, what do we got? So, actually, I'm going to turn this conversation on Mr. Sidney LaMontagne. You've been out of the server for about 4 months, almost 4 months now.
Yes, sir.
So, what have you been doing over these last 4 months without VC?
Well, I've actually been enjoying life more.
Yeah, you've been playing Call of Duty with like 14-year-olds again, which is fun.
14-year-old. You wish. No, I've been working. Got in a car accident a few months ago.
Ooh, wow.
Oh shit.
You don't want to know what I was doing.
What?
I was FaceTiming Hole, and it just got out of control.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
oops.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been working. I've been doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm gonna come back better than ever. And honestly, if you want to ban me tonight, no one would even care.
Yeah, he's right. Look, I think I unban. No promises. I'm only moderator, and when I say
let's take a vote. Let's take a vote in the chat. Let's take a vote in the chat.
Who's in the chat? Let's check the chat.
Okay.
I still gotta do like 3 things of homework.
Do a survey monkey and see what pops up. No one's gonna care.
I mean, what was it like being the Speaker Moon Man? Like, tell the audience what it was like to be the
So I was basically the Donald Trump of DC. I told people how it was, and they didn't like it.
What?
If I became president, I think I would be one of the best presidents DC has ever had.
Would you be
I think there would be so much progress.
Like let's hear some policies.
Yeah, let's hear some policies.
Go in depth
some policies.
Right.
Yeah. For President Moonman.
What do you want to hear?
Foreign policy. Let's start with that.
Foreign policy. What
Yep.
we're gonna do? We're gonna cut China completely out. We're done with China.
Gotcha. All right.
They gave us the China virus.
Mhm.
So we're done with that. We're
So,
done. No bats
right.
for us. No bats for us.
Sure. Where are we going to take our business to?
We're gonna work strongly with the west part of the world. We're gonna work with Canada and Mexico, and we're gonna bring kind of manufacturing jobs back. Now, what's gonna happen?
How are we going to bring these jobs back?
We are going to give companies not tax incentives, but we are going to give them other incentives like
Cocaine.
Sorry, what's that?
Give them cocaine.
Right, exactly. Just kidding. But we're going to give them other incentives, and we're going to figure out how we can help other businesses out, and we're going to reward these businesses for hiring American workers. We're going to make them. They're going to be good paying jobs. Americans are going to want to do this. They're going to want to work for their companies, and we're going to work with. I would love to work with the UK and help them out as well.
Well, when you say the Western world, are you also going to include the Bahamas? Not the Bahamas, my bad. The Caribbean.
Yes, actually, I would love to work with the Bahama Mama.
And especially South America.
Yes, most definitely. I would actually like to branch out to South America. I would like to help them out with their. If you've never actually been to South America, it's a very, very poor, very, very poor countries.
Yeah, a lot of them.
A lot of poverty. So we're gonna try and help them out with creating opportunities, working with their governments to create opportunities for young children, so they don't have to continue to grow up in poverty, and it won't be an endless cycle.
Gotcha. So you're saying that we want to move all businesses and jobs right back to America? I mean,
from China, yes.
Okay, from China, right? Now, are we gonna take those businesses that we have in China, right? All of that stuff. Are we gonna I would recommend somewhere like India, right? We work with them more. You know, they're huge.
Actually, India would be a good place to work with, as long as they're not doing to us what China has done to us in the past.
I don't think they will.
Good.
All right,
Perfect.
You can keep going.
Oh no, that's good. I'm done.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. All right. Who would be your vice president?
Ooh, so I actually don't. I don't think I know.
He's not having a vice president.
A lot of people there.
Hey.
But honestly, probably my vice president pick. I would probably have a few, to be honest with you.
What about me?
Is Hull still a Democrat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would honestly probably pick James. Wonder's still a Democrat.
No, Wonder's gone.
James
Wonder's dead.
Republican.
Wonder's dead. Okay.
Wonder's dead.
So honestly, probably James would be one of my top picks, to be honest with you. And
What about me?
Aiden.
James is a Republican.
Yeah. I'm a smart guy.
We'll see. I would have to talk with a bunch of different people and see what they want to do.
What about the current vice president?
You.
Me.
You're asking me. I mean, if you wanted to be my VP, maybe I'd think about it. I'd make sure my vice president has the same goals that I do.
All right. And that's if you ever get on band in the future.
Well, we'll see if it happens tonight.
But yeah. All right. So, what else do you think about?
You have more questions?
Not really.
What kind of people do you hate? No, that's not. Stop.
I would also like to reform our education system.
Yeah.
But it's a topic for another day, I suppose.
Yeah.
How would you reform the education system?
I would like to make sure the history books are 100% correct in everything.
Right. So
sure
would these history books actually include the amount of countries that America has spectacularly fucked over the past 100 years?
Yes.
Perfect. It's good to have both sides.
Yes. But also how certain people in America were treated, not just the African Americans, not just white people, but certain other people as well. And then it would also go over like affirmative action and all these racist policies that we've created over the years to put forward races over others.
Interesting. I mean, I would support abolishing welfare. Hey.
Police reform as well would be good.
Right.
With everything going on right now.
Welfare reform.
Aiden listens to Abraham.
No, okay. It's not even Abraham's argument. It's not even Abraham's argument.
Aiden, how about we have this debate that we had last night?
Fine.
If fighter jets and tanks should be legal for the
public
to buy.
Let me get to my welfare argument.
I would actually love to answer this question. I don't believe tanks and everything like that should be legal to buy, but I believe every single firearm should be allowed for purchase.
That was my stance last night. Right.
Yeah.
Because tanks, like having fucking tanks for the general populace, Aiden, would be disastrous, right? Because you could have like this one guy in like entire town has a tank. He just goes crazy one day. He could like destroy the fucking town, right? And plus,
the American Constitution, the Second Amendment, was written to. I think we've often forgotten this over the years that the Constitution was written to restrain the government's behavior and not the people's.
But no, I think everything should be legal. To them are, except like F-22 fighters. Okay, so it's actually a very simple.
Do you feel that nuclear weapons should be open to private?
Absolutely not.
Then
there's lines that need to be drawn. The government's using because if the government's using nukes against you, they're killing themselves as well. So, regardless, no, I think you can basically purchase all of that. You can have an aircraft carrier, by the way, but you go through the process of all the weapons on that aircraft carrier and whether you can have them or not, which is a bit silly. Back to my welfare argument, I would actually support abolishing welfare. Welfare is actually a form of systemic racism in America because you have the Democrats constantly pushing these incentives that basically mean like give these, especially African Americans in poverty, saying like giving that incentive to live up to the government and then continuing to fuck them because if you're on welfare, you're probably in a bad neighborhood, right? A poor neighborhood as well, because you're not obviously financially stable. So you are, and poor neighborhoods are more likely to.
You heard it here first, folks. Antonio said that black people are not financially stable.
I mean, people who are in poverty in general are financially unstable. I mean, a lot of African Americans in big cities are. Well, in fact, there's been things implemented by the government in the past. There's just Jim Crow laws that have made them poor before, and then welfare continues to keep them poor because it's like a domino effect. The welfare on these there's a certain line for welfare. If you go over that line, which is like $23,000 a year, you're cut off welfare, and $25,000 a year isn't a livable wage. By the way.
You believe that poor kids are just as bright and just as talented
Aiden.
But hang on. But so,
what are your thoughts on the
Democrats have always been a racist party? I'll say that. Well, hang on. I'll get to your question, Lucas. I'm sorry, but basically, welfare keeps African American communities poor, or poor communities poor in general. And these poor communities have higher crimes, and then the majority of these poor communities are the majority of minorities. And then if these neighborhoods are more dangerous, more police are going to come, more over policing, and our police system is shit. If we have a shit police system and we're over policing poor neighborhoods, you know how it goes, right? It's a very easy thing to look at. You don't even need statistics because everyone knows the system's shit. Sorry, Lucas. What's your question?
Nah, I kind of lost it. Honestly, it's all right. There. No, it's all right. But like, so, do you think? But like, okay, I kind of want to. So you answered like all the bigger questions I have. So I kind of want to get into the fact. So like, weapons, like different weaponry and vehicles and firearms. Like, right. I'm all for the belief that anyone should have any firearm they choose if they pass a background check, right? Like 50 cals, large magazines, all that good stuff.
Like I said, for politics, sure.
But like, why?
But ineffective.
Why do you think? Where do you think a line should be drawn? If a line should be drawn for different ex-military vehicles or different items of war that can be bought by the general public, like, where do you think that line should be drawn? If you think that fighter jets and tanks and anti-aircraft vehicles and weaponry should be legally bought by the general public, where do you think that line should be drawn?
My personal beliefs are no restrictions, right? I believe
Sir, this isn't Iraq, okay?
Except for
we don't need Humvees running through the streets.
Except for
and
nuclear
people with 40 AK-47s and rocket launchers attached to their back. Okay?
But if everyone has them, what's the problem?
Then people will kill each other. Like,
right. So don't piss people off.
Right. Then
it worked in the Wild West.
It worked in the Wild West. We don't live in the Wild West now.
Returning.
Shut the fuck up, you UK
bitch. Society would be detrimental.
Okay.
If we get
Paul's mad that he can't carry a butter knife
for politics
reasons,
square, for reasons of politics and just okay, fine.
For reason of realism, Aiden, you can't realistically think that people with these military grade vehicles, military grade like weapons and items of war are going to just leave them sitting there. They're spending millions of dollars already to buy them. It's going to cost thousands to millions of dollars to maintain a fighter jet, and you're hanging. Right? So
imagine
the few people that right.
But so
why do you think? Do you think that
if you're going to argue that the rich are going to have them all, I'd imagine that companies would be selling and producing anti-aircraft.
But wouldn't this allow to lead if you've got very rich people buying if you've got very rich people buying a large number of weapons, don't you think that's kind of getting to the point where you're going to just risk a revolution or a coup d'etat anyway? Even worth it's not they won't be doing it because the government is corrupt. They'll be doing it to give power to themselves, which is self-defeating at that point. So so yeah, okay, you're free to defend yourself, cool, but there's a load of rich people who are able to buy a shit ton of weapons and able to employ a shit ton of people to drive and do whatever they want with those weapons if they're a tank or an airplane. You get to a point where you're no longer where the government is no longer the person you need to be protected from. It's these people with a load of weapons and stuff. So
right. So if you're going to argue that it's businesses with a load of weapons,
I'm not saying
you don't have to buy from. My bad. Okay. Are you going to argue? Are you arguing if the rich people have all?
Even if it's not buying them, you can have a trust fund which owns a load of different companies.
And the government can still have a military. I'm all for having a big.
I'm not saying the government doesn't have a military, but you're just going to break into little civil conflicts whenever somebody goes a bit crazy.
Yeah.
And for the sake of it, sure, have background checks we should have. I would say they're ineffective. We should still have them. I'd say.
Right, but if it's a company, it kind of goes around a background check because it's not a single person owning it; it's a business.
And Aiden, let's say a billionaire decides to buy, a couple fighter jets, tanks, and a stockpile of fucking weapons, right? He could also have a private militia, which you're setting this up for a terrible battle of a terrible, like, honestly, you're setting up for civil war because
America, in America, you can have your own.
You're not going to have like a united, if the people are able to have the same items of war as the government, you're just going to have militias arming themselves with fighter jets, tanks, and all this. So, like, why do you think that they should be allowed to do that? And why do you think society would be able to handle, like, this change?
Because the thing is there to stop an oppressive government. But the thing is, oppression is different to different people. Like, some people feel oppressed by the idea of taxation. Other people, they see that as theft. Other people, like me, for example, I don't really feel very oppressed by my government. There's other people who feel extremely oppressed by
You should be.
So
government should be very
like,
limited.
The thing is, as soon as you start heavily arming, and not just giving people small arms, giving people fighter jets or tanks or artillery pieces or landmines and other things like that, as soon as you just make that free for the entire population to buy, you're going to start getting businesses or things like that come together, and you're going to get people trying to push their will on society through those militaries, their own private militaries. And at that point, it's self-defeating. Like, the McDonald's army McDonald's might one day decide that it doesn't like KFC anymore.
Well,
send all of the McDonald's tanks to shoot all of the KFC tanks.
Yeah, Aiden.
Right. So okay. So
it just becomes anarchy.
I would argue that like I don't support like corporations having their own militias, but I support the individual having their own defense. Right? I don't think corporations have a certain right to defend themselves with those arms. They can do that in other ways too. Yeah, I mean, and also corporations don't have to be super big, and actually have to establish territories to have an effective militia. By the way, so
Not
if
really.
I would
not really, Aiden, because let's say okay.
So the McDonald's on my street has a Burger King and a Wendy's. How is McDonald's isn't an actual governing authority? They're just a corporation.
Yeah, no, but as soon as you start giving them military power, you start the interactions begin to change.
And also, I've said that like corporations that I don't think corporations should be able to form their own like militias. Absolutely not. I don't even believe in private police. It's stupid.
But Aiden, listen, right? It's not so much actually corporations, because again, it's just a rich person. Corporations or individual. Because again, okay, let's say a billionaire. Again, let's say a billionaire gets a bunch of stockpile weapons, and he sees an opportunity because it's legal for him, the billionaire, to buy $1 million of like military vehicles and other weapons, right? So what's stopping him from going to the average minimum wage worker and saying, I'm gonna pay you more than the minimum wage pays you at this dumbass McDonald's job or whatever the fuck. I'm gonna pay you more than that to be in my private militia.
To drive a tank.
The government,
right? One, they're not gonna have the experience to drive the tank.
The government
or fly the plane, right? So the government saying, and again, how is the government gonna restrict sale? How is the government gonna restrict sale?
Do you believe in any form of licenses then? If you're so blasé with gun laws, do you believe that in licenses? Do you think that there should be something to restrict you from driving on the road if you want to drive on the road?
Like I've already said, I would say that licenses in a whole are ineffective, but I do support the idea of having them. I think they're necessary, regardless if they're effective or not. We should have them. But if they're effective or not is an argument for a different day. No, you should have licenses for everything. Well, it's not going to really hang on. Well, it's not really going to like affect anything. I mean, a lot of people like especially with guns, a lot of people buy their guns illegally. Like 1.3% of criminals actually purchase their weapon legally. 1.3%. Again, that's besides the point. I'd still support licensing, and the government can easily stop these rich people from that.
All right.
Because I would say that if they're gonna pay,
right, but it's not so much the fact that they could easily stop.
So
right?
Okay,
if they're like, revolution is starts with this, like any war or any major historical event will start with a spark. So let's say okay, Aiden's rebellion. Let's say, okay, I'll name it like this. We can basically do this because we've had a few rebellions after the American Revolution in America, like the Whiskey Rebellion and a few others. And so let's say we have the Aiden Rebellion, where you're like, you're like a billionaire. You have, you invest $6 billion in buying like tanks, fighter jets, and a bunch of different weaponry, and you arm like the citizens of Saco, Maine, right? Have like 20,000 people. You arm them. You decide to go to, I think, Augusta, Maine, which is the capital of Maine, I think, right? And you take the capital. At that point, you become, the federal government steps in and the military invades. You're quelled, right? That could start like the other billionaires that have their own militias could start to band together against the federal government. It's not so much that your revolution is quelled.
So
it's
no, it didn't. No,
people's...
no. That's a false argument. It didn't. It happened in Portland, and it didn't. They just gave up there.
So with Sid's not entirely wrong, but I mean, I don't see there's no benefit in these corporations banding together anyway. But that's besides the point.
There is. If the government's saying, if the government's now trying to bring in reforms to restrict the sales and ownership of military grade weaponry, then they have a common cause there, and that is a common cause which they might fight for. The right to be able to have their own militaries.
Because people, again, people make money in general. People make money off war. War is a profitable. It's a profitable thing, right? So, and again, it's not like, okay, if your rebellion is quelled, and 10 billionaires with their own militia, maybe they squawk out like 300,000 people, maybe, right? They would be able to take on the domestic force of like the National Guard, right? Because again, they could take a state, like let's say it starts in like not like New York, a state like New York or Florida, but it starts in like Vermont or Kansas or something like gaining territory in war is great, and it will benefit your side. America, and like, it's just so dumb that this argument can even be honest. I'm sorry to call your point dumb, but
the government can stop them. I'll say that. And
the government can stop it, but then the government infringing on your right to own a fucking fighter jet.
Ideally, I would. I know what you're saying, and it's a good argument. Ideally, I'd want it. I don't think it'd work out in today's society, but I mean, maybe not. Okay, so I'd say this: tanks are fine weaponized tanks are fine if you fire them on your own property, right? And it's hidden in your property.
How can you ensure that that's the only place that they're only going to be fired?
What's stopping the person from shoot? Like, okay, let's say his neighbor's a fuck to him. What's stopping him from blowing up his house or running over his house?
He'll get leaves him. He runs over a car on the motorway.
Yeah, what goes crazy? Right?
He'll get assassinated or executed.
Okay, but that's gonna be
by another militia.
You get
everyday people having mental breakdowns who own firearms now, right? You have everyday people who'll have a mental breakdown and go and shoot a few people, or break into their neighbor's house and do something, or rape somebody with a gun. And that's just like somebody having a mental breakdown, no prior kind of, and nothing prior there, right? The damage is a lot more if that person's now going to drive to a shopping mall in a tank. Like, economic damage is much more. Probably damage to lives is much more.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't know. I might be looking at this differently because my country has a different view on firearms.
You're just mad because you can't even carry a butter knife.
To be fair, I wouldn't want to carry a butter knife.
So,
and if I
There's
want
more-
to,
there's
I
still
can
more
carry a
stabbings
Swiss
and
Army knife if I
fucking,
really wanted to.
Paul won't carry anything because he's too scared to defend himself. He's a Brit,
Why? But
and he's a
I
coward.
have no need to. I've
Hey,
never
remember
had a,
when
I've
you
never
lost
had
the
a
war?
need. I've never had an.
Oh,
Remember when you lost the war?
What war?
Yeah,
American
the
Revolution.
Revolutionary War.
Remember when we kicked your ass?
Just like
Yeah.
when you lost the War of 1812.
I literally did not ask. So,
Hey, how about you take a seat and go and win another war somewhere?
On Falkland.
Anyway.
All right, pal. We're not the one who elected Boris Johnson.
Yeah, you've got to.
And we're the one who elected Trump. So.
Hey, I didn't elect Boris. Someone else did.
Sid, I would say that Trump isn't any better.
Is way better than Boris Johnson.
I mean, not really.
No, Trump's worse than Boris Johnson.
Republicans really love how Trump's like tax cuts. Like Trump's tax cuts don't mean anything if our deficit increases by $1 trillion every year. Trump's spending is ridiculous. He's a Democrat. He's always been one. I don't care what you say. I don't care if his traditional values make him seem Republican, but economically he has been a Democrat.
Yeah, well, I'm black, so you're racist.
Yeah, no, he said we are going into debt so bad, $1 trillion every year or so. No, it's not. It's not a good economy. Trump
At least we've had our first black president.
And also the unemployment rate under Trump has been going before COVID was the same rate as it was on the administration.
Is anyone going to talk about how Phil Murphy looks like a pedophile?
Phil Murphy's base, though. He's a base governor, not gonna lie. Although he looks fucking retarded, though.
What's the guy's? Oh my god. What's the other guy? Why does Will Ferrell have gray hair?
Could be for a movie.
Will Ferrell
Tom
looks
Hanks had
gross
gray
now.
hair recently for a movie.
Tom Hanks is a pedophile as well.
What's the other guy from Grown Ups? I know there's Will Ferrell. Who's the other guy?
Will Ferrell is not in Grown Ups.
Anyway, I think we're really swinging off topic here.
Grown Ups.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Why don't we start rolling to like the end? So, do we want to talk about?
So I'll So we're not going to go into detail here, but we are just going to say that this will be the last. Oh god, I went very Shrewsbury then. This is going to be the last PBN podcast we do. We've got some big changes coming up. There very well may be podcasts in the future. Cannot confirm or deny.
Where we announce the Monty News Network is being launched.
Yeah, we're no longer going to be. We haven't been affiliated with PBN since.
Technically, we haven't had this is our first podcast since we left PBN, so technically we're not affiliated. This was too OG to pass up, so we had to put PBN podcast on here.
But this is the last PBN podcast that we do.
Yeah.
We've got, like I said, we've got some big changes coming up, and we're you're still gonna have me and Lucas. We're gonna be doing a lot more stuff, different things. We'll tell you about it at in the future, but for now we're just gonna leave you with that, just so you can cry about the loss of your favorite news network.
Don't worry, and this is obviously not to say that we're never doing the podcast again. We are going to do it. It's we're just gonna do them better than we've ever done them on PBN, and we're gonna try to expand it. But we're not gonna go into any kind of more details than that.
Yeah. That's it.
But
yeah, I think that's. I think we've cliffhangered them
I'm
enough. Pardon?
I'm running for president in November.
Okay, Aiden.
After my
So everyone, I think this is a great time for us to.
Also unban Monty. The fuck is that about?
It's a good time for us to end.
Yeah, let's get that hashtag popping. Hashtag unban Monty. Okay, guys. I'm gonna drop all my socials right in the chat. So if you want to add me, contact me. I'm gonna set up a GoFundMe as well to continue our fight against the liberal propaganda of BC.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a GoFundMe. You guys can go there, donate all your money, donate your stimulus check from President Trump. And what we'll do is we're going to win. We're going to take them down. We're going to get lawyers involved.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get the best lawyers I can get. Fuck the system. And lastly, go fuck yourself, San Diego.
All right. You know what I'm gonna do right now?
What?
I'm gonna do? See suggestions, right?
Mm.
Fine. If we get to okay, so I'm not gonna be specific, but I guess we technically are allowed to have some guy screaming about eugenics and wanting to basically outbreed. I wouldn't say out. That's not the right term. You know what eugenics are, right? This guy obviously has a problem mentally disabled people. So if we can have people like that in our server, then sure, there's no reason why we can't have monks.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Right now, I believe there is a check. There might be something. Isn't there like a suggestions channel that they have? That's where I get all my fucking bullshit.
Anyway, we'll leave it there. I think. Because I've got work tomorrow, I've got to sleep. So
yeah.
And it's coming up on 3 a.m. So everybody, thank you once again for coming and watching the PBN podcast.
Thank you so much for coming to
thank you guys.
PBN, Fake News Media.
We will
so much.
be back in a different way in the future, but from all of us,
a sexy
here,
way, to say the least.
At the PBN podcast, I think it's
PBN News.
It's a good night to you guys, and
blow 'em a kiss.
Stay groovy, baby.
Stay groovy.
Groovy. All right. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.